Champ. Let's go, champions. It's breaking news here on the Boxing Biz podcast radio show. If you didn't already know, well, I'm going to tell you right now. Looks as though the IBF is going down the list still on who is going to be facing Filip Hrgovic in this title eliminator. Letters have been sent out. Letters have been sent out to both fighters, Andy Ruiz and Murat Gassiev, to enter talks for IBF heavyweight title eliminator versus Filip Hrgovic. And both have until Friday to accept. So the saga continues, champ. Who's ready and who's not?
Listos para los chingazos. Listos para los chingazos.
That's right. You better be listos para los chingazos, man. If not, the IBF will keep going down the line. We already know that some have already turned down this IBF eliminator. So let's go down the list. We had Luis Ortiz. Turn it down. Let's go, champ. What happened, you say?
Hey, what happened?
There was an injury in that fight against the Prince. And I know for a fact that Luis Ortiz wouldn't be running away from a fight with Filip Hrgovic. So, I know that in that fight, he might have injured his hand, right? We all know that Joseph Parker turned down the fight. Maybe not enough money. We know that Tony Yoka was willing to fight, but decided, that he can't because Martin Bacoli has him, has him down, written proof that he's still owed a fight with Tony Yoka. So that fell through. Joe Joyce, England's Joe Joyce, that is, also, who is a number one ranked right now in WBO, declined the offer. And as well as Ajit Kabayel, who was next in line, also declined the offer. So the saga continues. Wu-Tang. And here we are now at the doorstep, right, with Andy Ruiz and Murat Gassiev getting the offer. I think Gassiev is, first in line before Andy Ruiz, but both have been sent these letters. And, wow, man, what do you guys think about this? Because, Andy Ruiz Jr., I get excited about it. I feel like the homie's been, recovering right now with a knee injury, I believe. And he's been, telling us about a possible fight day coming soon. And, why not? Why not get this fight going right here and, give that opportunity to Andy Ruiz? Gassiev hasn't fought in a while. He also has been, recovering from an injury. And I'll share some of the stuff going on right now. I'll try to translate the Russian Ruski through my other app because it's not definitely on this one. But let's see what's going on with Gassiev right now in the social media, kind of sharing his life. We post here, we share our lives. So let's go to Gassiev, right? And he's saying what up, y'all, saying hi, and I'll translate, which is basically the IG app that's translating for me. But he says, recovery from injury is going well. Finally getting back to training. As 2 days ago. And the champ seems happy. Looks like he's ready to go. We all do, as fighters and face value. But hopefully that injury has been recovering better than worse, right? These injuries are sometimes detrimental to a boxer's career. Now let's take a look at Andy. Look at Andy lifting weights, got the kettlebell thing going. We've been seeing his evolution physically, and I think that he's doing just fine. But he was working out an injury, and let's read what he says. I can't wait for my return. Double praying hand emoji, punching emoji. My knee feels good and ready to go. Who should I fight? Thank you, God. And this particular one was 3 weeks ago. And, he looks like the champ just might be, recovering just well. Murat recovering just well. We don't want him going in there and, fighting a fight like our good friend Mr. Gary Russell Jr. just did against Mark Magsayo, the Philippine phenom who is now the champion. So we know what it can do to a fighter if he re-injures it during battle. It's not a good look. So hopefully these two guys that have been offered this opportunity have recovered just fine. Let's take a look at some of the top guys, writers and editors that cover the sport. What did they have to say about it? Jake Donovan says, in other heavyweight fights that aren't happening news, I'm told that the invitation letters have been submitted to Andy Ruiz and Murat Gassiev for either to enter talks for IBF heavyweight title eliminator versus Filip Hrgovic. Both have until Friday to accept. Daniel Redfield says, per source, the IBF has gone down its rankings again and has now offered Andy Ruiz and Murat Gassiev the opportunity to negotiate with Hrgovic camp for a spot in the heavyweight title eliminator to become the mandatory. They have until Friday or the hunt will continue. The hunt continues, y'all. But we got two candidates that I think wouldn't turn down a fight, especially Andy Ruiz Jr., especially if he's recovering just fine. They went down the line, like I told you guys before. They went down through Luis Ortiz, Joseph Parker, through Joe Joyce. Cabiel turns it down. Now we're here. Andy Ruiz, Murat Gassiev have the opportunity to take on the fight that, most think that fighters have been avoiding, but I think the circumstances have been unique in this situation. I can't remember the last time they went down the list this far. So, we're going to have to see where Murat Gassiev really stands with his injury. His career was basically at a halt, or a slow crawl, as Dan put it. And, his return fight with Nuri Safari, he got a first-round knockout, fourth-round stoppage with Michael Walish in July. So Gassiev, was due to face Andriy Rudenko last year in December, and he withdrew because of that elbow injury. Now, we've had some fighters that we have been familiar with that have had an elbow injury, such as our good friend Keith one-time Thurman, who, has taken quite a bit to fully recover from that in his journey with his injury. But I guess every car is different, every man is different. So hopefully Murat Gassiev has healed just fine in order to be able to take on a fight like Filip Hrgovic. I mean, guy's huge, tall. He's going to have some advantages on Filip. I never really gave those advantages so much when I see Andy Ruiz in the ring with some tall, bigger guys. I never really gave the taller guy that much because of Andy Ruiz's style and his ability to close the distance and, throw bombs on the inside. So, nonetheless, even if Andy Ruiz did take on Filip Hrgovic, those obvious, gifted, God-given talents and attributes that Filip has are there. How Andy Ruiz would handle that, I don't know. I'm ready, though. I'm ready for Andy Ruiz, Filip Hrgovic. His Andy Ruiz's fight with Areola, was the type of fight that kind of put questions up in the air about his training, how much weight he had been losing, and how well he would be doing against the bigger guys now that he had lost some weight. And personally, I always thought that, Andy, he should have kept some of the weight on and not try to be so body beautiful. But, I'm not in the man's body. I don't know how he's feeling. What I do know is that when he was heavier, I feel like he had more punch resistance. He had more power. Obviously more weight, speed equals power. So, I thought that he was, just needed to kind of tweak it out a little bit, lose some weight, get stronger legs and such. But, his journey is his journey. I hope that he feels his best, and I hope that he can continue to take on these big guys, because the heavyweight division is a land of the giants. And that's plain Jane. Yeah, I said it. Giants.
Say what?
And you got Tyson Fury out here calling everybody a coward. And Usyk's ready. My man Anthony Joshua, shout out to AJ for clearing that up on the on the video that he made about, him stepping aside, taking 15 milli. Yeah, I knew that wasn't my man's AJ, man. He ain't about to just take step aside money just like that without even saying anything. That's what you got to watch it, man, who you listen to, bro. There's a lot of guys out there that jump the gun and they go straight into the fucking pool. the deep end. And then next thing you know, it ain't real. Not happen. All right, champ. You ain't asked AJ the question.
Don't ask me that question.
That's right. Don't ask him that question, bro. That man don't step aside. He knock guys out. He loses his titles and gains them back. That's the type of fighter AJ is. So there you go. And again, this is breaking news, right? Jumping into AJ, Andy Ruiz Jr. and Murat Gassiev both received that letter for a title eliminator in the IBF rundown of that list. Now, let's just say both Gassiev and Ruiz turn this down. The IBF will have 4 challengers left on the contract. They'd have to go down the list. Obviously, Luis Ortiz just fought Charles Martin. He's number 10, so he'd be next in line. He's coming off a knockout, lost to Ortiz. And then Parker, he's ranked 11, and he's already rejected the offer, whether it be money or whatever it may be with Joseph Parker. You know how it is. And I don't know who else would come about after that. But they got the lineup. They got Dempsey McKean. He would come next. He's a 6'6" Australian southpaw, and he's coming off a 6-round stoppage in the U.S. debut on DAZN last November in Manchester, New Hampshire. So that's after McKean, though, is a guy that we're more familiar with, right? A guy that we've known, a guy that I've sparred. Yeah, that's right. All day. Next would be China Zhule Zhang, who the one heavyweight who has been vocal about facing Hrgovic. He's actually wanted the fight. And let's see if it would come down to that. That's a long list. I mean, we're talking about a lot of guys that the IBF is running down in order to get Filip Hrgovic that title eliminator, man. What a task this has been set out to be. But nonetheless, we've got 2 guys that I don't know how you put them up or match them up, y'all, against Filip Hrgovic. Obviously, these 2 fighters, Murat Gassiev and Andy Ruiz, are both the smaller fighters. Is that a big deal? Stylistically, it can be. I can only attest for Andy Ruiz on his ability to take on giants. Gassiev, I haven't seen him take on giants just yet, like the likes of a guy like AJ, some of the bigger fighters in the heavyweight division. So this was a breaking news coverage here on the Boxing Biz podcast radio show. I hope you appreciate it, just to bring some light on what's going on right now with this IBF title eliminator that we've been waiting on. So far, only one guy down the list has really said yes, and that was Tony Yoka. And again, Martin Bacoli has written proof, and he has a fight date that needs to be taken care of. So, again, this was just a breaking news episode here on the Boxing Biz podcast radio show. I hope you guys appreciate it. Tune in this Friday to the fights that are going to be going down on Fight Stars TV YouTube channel. You could go ahead and download the Fight Stars app as well. And if not, catch them on the FightStars.com. But if you want to for sure catch the fights, go to Fight Stars TV and hit the YouTube channel. Friday night fights, I'll be covering them, and I'll be bringing you more information today or tomorrow on those cards, on that card, and on those fights. It's getting real hot down in Tijuana. It's getting crazy, y'all. These fighters are putting it all on the line. I was privy to be in a pre-show last week or the week before that with a good friend of mine, Patrick Oakes, and we covered some of the fights that were going down in Monterrey, Mexico. We had a good time. There were some stoppages, and we got to see some of the guys that don't get the coverage up here in America, but we're covering them, and we're definitely going to be watching the fights this Friday. Fight Stars TV. Let's go, champ. This is the Doomatron. He been activated.
Doomatron activated.
And now I'm getting deactivated, so stay tuned. Cheers.